exploded from the baby's lungs, and after 45 minutes of intense work, the operating room was finally filled with the productive sound of crying. That baby was me. I was born Matthew Ranjan Massey on March 13, 1985. And to this day, my mom and I have matching scars from the initial incision made by Dr. Lee. Mine on my right arm's bicep, hers on her midsection. My scar is a lot more visible during the winter when I don't have a bronze tan. But they aren't just scars either. They're matching reminders of what we went through that day, of how close we came to death. I know the story of my birth in such detail because my dad, also named Matthew, tells it to me each year on my birthday. And growing up, I recall him telling it to anyone and everyone we'd meet. We'd ride 10 floors down in an elevator, and by the time the elevator doors opened to a new floor, every stranger on that elevator knew I was a code blue baby. It became such a reoccurring story in our household that every member of the household would scatter as soon as he began telling it. My mom and dad are the definition of couples' goals. They met at a church outing at Bullwinkle's Family Fun Center when they were only 13 years old. My dad, ever the charmer, approached my mom and told her how beautiful her voice was. They were dating not long after that, and by age 16, he asked my mom's father for permission to propose, which was swiftly denied. So, he waited until he was 18 to ask again, at which time permission from her family was granted. They haven't looked back since. For the 39 years they've been married, they have probably spent a total of 5 nights away from each other. They hold hands wherever they go, attend church together every Sunday, sing together in the car, and pretty much make all other married couples look weak in comparison. My mom, Joyce, comes from a large family of 8 and was born and raised in Chino Hills, California. She is a little thing, 5 foot 3 inches and 100 pounds, and not a lot of change. She's blonde-haired and pale, and is the most soft-spoken woman you'll ever meet. My dad, Matthew, comes from a family of 11 and was born and raised in El Puente, California. He's 6 feet tall, has long jet-black hair, tan skin, and is handsome and gregarious. When I was growing up, it would take 15 minutes to check out at the grocery store line because he would strike up a conversation with the cashier. Half of my childhood involved me grabbing my dad by his hand in an attempt to pull him away from a pleasant conversation with a stranger. My father's openness compared to my mother's shyness seemed stark, but both of my parents had one thing in common. They were both super Christians, or, as I like to refer to them, Jesus freaks. I mean absolute fanatics. Naturally, that devotion became part of the home I grew up in. Before every meal, even if we were at a restaurant, we'd link hands and say a prayer. During every car ride, Mom and Dad would sing praise and worship music, encouraging us to join along. My older sister, Donna Joy, or DJ for short, and I were best buddies. She's about 3.5 years older than me, and always babysat me in those early years. She was a wonderful playmate who taught me how to use my imagination whenever we sang, danced, and tumbled in the living room. I remember she and I would hold our ears to cups and press them against our parents' door in order to listen in on their conversations. We didn't know what was going on in that room, but we knew the moans and groans coming from the other side of the wall sounded silly. Luckily, we had the wherewithal not to investigate them further. My sister and I had so many toys between us that my parents would store them all in a giant gray Rubbermaid trash bin. Every day we would play a game called Barbies and Hulk, where she'd use her Barbies and I'd use my collection of World Wrestling Federation LJN figures. These toy figures aren't like today's figures. They were rubber, heavy, and the paint chipped from them as soon as you touched them. The body parts didn't move. Oh, and if you had a pet, the fingers and arms of the figures would be chewed off almost instantly. My very first wrestling figure was Jesse the Body Ventura, which I still have to this day. Some figures were not so lucky as to survive my youth, though. When I was 2 years old, my family went on a trip to Hawaii. While at the ocean with my favorite Hulk Hogan figure, a big wave came and launched the toy from my hand. My Hulk was lost forever, and I was devastated. For years after, whenever my parents would ask me where my Hulk figure went,